Good evening, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for July 30th, 2014, around 7:55 p.m. The sun's going down in Billerica, Massachusetts. We had about 77 degrees and nice weather today. Some news to report: the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to retire Mean Joe Green's number 75 this season. He'll be the second player in Steelers history to have his number retired, and there's still rumors going around that the Red Sox are going to be trading John Lackey, and there's a rumor that he's going to the Marlins. Don't know about if this rumor is true or not, but I know John Lester's going to probably be traded, and I heard Stephen Drew as well. The Red Sox are in cost-cutting mode, getting ready for 2015 season. And my third and final subject of the night is about a former professional wrestling announcer, David Crockett. David Crockett was a pro wrestling announcer for the Mid-Atlantic region, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, which morphed into the primary NWA territory in the late 80s, then into World Championship Wrestling. David Crockett was an announcer for 12 years in the Mid-Atlantic NWA territory, and he was a very enthusiastic announcer. He would always, every match he would call, he would show very enthusiastic and stuff like that. He had a great interview style and stuff like that, and he would say always when they're running out of time about when the main event's coming on. Oh, we have a fabulous main event. Oh, sorry, we're out of time. We'll show you to it next week. He had a very great enthusiasm, and he had a lot of charisma as a wrestling announcer. Some of the partners he worked for over the years: Bob Caudle. He also worked with former professional wrestler Johnny Weaver, Tony Schiavone, and Jim Ross. David Crockett was in a famous angle in 1985 when he was interviewing Nikita Koloff and Ivan Koloff about an upcoming match against Ric Flair at the Great American Bash 1995. Nikita clotheslined David Crockett, and this was very shocking because hardly you would have wrestling announcers in that day get physically involved in angles, and this led to a Flair versus Koloff match at Great American Bash 1985 for the NWA World title, and David Crockett was the special guest referee. David Crockett was kind of biased towards Ric Flair, and Ric Flair won the match. And towards the end of Mid-Atlantic that warped into the NWA, he was kind of being phased out in around 1988 when Jim Ross signed with NWA, he replaced David Crockett on the program for World Championship Wrestling on WTBS, and David Crockett was mainly an interview guy. And when Jim Crockett Promotions was sold to Ted Turner, which they were rebranded the WCW name, David Crockett actually left becoming a wrestling announcer and becoming a producer, which I really didn't like that, because David Crockett was one of the most enthusiastic interviewers, wrestling announcers of all time, even though people thought he was bad, and he won worst announcer 3 years in a row for Wrestling Observer. I thought David Crockett had a lot of charisma and a lot of enthusiasm. I think he was probably one of the top 15 to 20 pro wrestling announcers of all time. David Crockett is the brother of Jim Crockett, who used to run Jim Crockett Promotions Mid-Atlantic, who was also the president of the NWA. And David Crockett briefly had a wrestling career. He was under the name David Finlay, but it's not later on, years later, there was a wrestler called Dave Finley as well, but that's a different guy. And also David Crockett was in a plane that crashed in October 4th, 1975, which had Nature Boy Ric Flair and Johnny Valentine and Mr. Wrestling #1 Tim Woods. That's something. David Crockett's now out of the wrestling business, and he's actually appeared on a couple of WWE DVDs, like the Rise and Fall of WCW and the Starcade Best of Starcade. It's pretty good. And you know, I miss David Crockett a lot as with his things. And one other thing with the interview segment he did, which brought me to mind, is when between like Magnum TA and Baby Doll, when Magnum TA kissed Baby Doll, David Crockett says she likes it, she likes it, she likes it. But that's some of the greatest memories of David Crockett I remember. Well, I'll be back tomorrow with more video blogs, at least 3 to 6 more video blogs, and I'll be talking about a lot of subjects. And it's the trade deadline tomorrow, so I'll have like a wrap up of all the trades on a video blog, okay? And one more thing, RDT. Good night, Facebook friends and YouTube followers.